even handle this? What does it tell you?
Well, it tells me LeBron should have more than 4 MVPs. But I think the thing is now, I think the players have gotten better. They're more skilled now. And it's just not – Skip, you have to understand, prior to the 80-81 season, the players selected the MVP. So Dr. J was the first guy to win the MVP in which the media selected. Prior to that, from I think 55, 56 was the first year it was given out, the players, you voted for your peers, and that's who you got the MVP. Hence, Wilt scores 50 and 25, and he doesn't win. He averages 44 and 27, and he finishes 7th in the MVP voting. But for me, Skip, I guess the media thought that Michael Jordan deserved to be. I guess he should have won more MVPs also.
Yep.
Skip, because if you look at it, LeBron he won 4 out of 5. So, he won 9, he win? 8, 9, 9, 10, and missed 11, and he went 12, 13, 13, 14. But you figure Steph Curry wins it unanimous, so nobody got to see the first place vote, so he garners all the first place votes. Look, I don't want to look too much into it. I think both have had great. LeBron won 4 out of 5. Jordan won 2 out of 3 in each of the three-peats. But for the most part, Skip, and this is not to knock anybody, but I just believe the players are more skilled now, and the likelihood, because you look at Jordan in the 80s, Magic and Bird had the MVP on lock. I mean, Dr. J won it in the 80, Moses Malone won it in the next 2 years, and then Bird 3, and then 3 out of the next 4 years, it was Magic. So for me, Skip, I don't want to put too much into it. It just tells me, I guess, if you want to put it down in a nutshell, I guess the media members that were voting thought Michael Jordan deserved to be MVP, and they gave him more first-place votes than what they gave LeBron. But I believe that both players should have more MVPs than what they have. So nothing more, nothing less. But I know for certain LeBron James should have more than 4 MVPs. You know that. I know that.
Jordan should have had at least 10.
Man, see, there you go. Why you got to go overboard with it? Why you can't say 6? Okay, Jordan should have maybe 6 or 7. Why you got to go all the way to 10? You always got to be on a 10. That's the 10. You always on a 10.
I lived through that era. I covered through that era. And it was unquestionably Michael Jordan's league. It was just case closed. He was the man. He owned basketball. Magic knew it the first time he saw him. Bird knew it the first time he saw him, up close and personal, when he scored 63 in the game number 1. They got swept, but he scored 63 in overtime. And Bird said after the game, that was God disguised as Michael Jordan. They could just see what was happening because he had the physical and the mental. They could see cold-blooded killer on the basketball court. They could see force of nature. The media could see it and feel it to the point of awe where everybody just knew he's the man. There was, obviously, as we went past Magic and Bird, then we had Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing. We had Malone and Stockton, and I could go on, but they paled in comparison.
Right.
He marginalized some great players.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely.
They were great players. They put up incredible numbers, but they all lived in the shadow of that one guy. So the media didn't love him because he wasn't the greatest with the media, the way LeBron's just great with the media. He's much more quotable and sort of accessible, and LeBron gives you so much of who he is. And Michael didn't always do that. He did what was required of him, but that was all.
Right.
And he didn't often open up. And because of that, his mystique ran a little hotter and higher than LeBron's does because the media was in fear of him in a good way, like he was something else, like he was extraterrestrial. He wasn't quite what the rest of us were. He was something we'd never seen before. So it doesn't surprise me at all because he only really played 13 years up through the last year in Chicago. Then he took 3 off and came back for 2 ceremonial years in Washington. You can criticize them and condemn them all you want, and you're correct. He just did it because he wanted to do it. He just wanted a last hurrah. just for fun, and it wasn't that pleasant to watch.
But
so
Skip,
I just take 13 versus LeBron's 17 years.
But Skip, we have to admit, there was no Kevin Durant playing in the 80s and 90s. There were no Anthony Davis. The 16 guys that can do. There was no Dirk Nowitzki's. There was none of that. So you have to look at it. There was no James Harden. There was no Steph Curry revolutionizing the game. That's what LeBron James, that's the era in which he's up against. Because you have to understand, when LeBron got into the league, there was still Shaq and Kobe, even though it's for 1 year. I think it's for 1 year. And then you had the Kobe. And then you had the Steve Nash. And so once he got his feet wet, he dominated.
Okay, but I got to defend those years. Magic was a unicorn. I've just never seen anything like him before. He's the second greatest player I ever saw. He was 6'9", and he could just dominate games with his will and his spirit and his talent and physicality, because he was a powerful 6'9".
Skip, but I think we have to agree, the players are more skilled now. Skip, think about it. Kevin Durant is 7 foot tall.
Okay.
And he's shooting the ball like a 6'6" or 6'7" guy.
Okay, I got it.
Handle the ball like that. Look at Anthony Davis. Guys, Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant, they were fours and fives. They played with their back against the basket.
The game has evolved.
Yes.
These young, tall players are being encouraged to play like guards.
Yes.
Okay, I got that.
That's what LeBron is up against. Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry is made more threes in a season than probably the whole NBA did when they instituted the three-point shot in '79.
Okay, but Larry Bird, your favorite player
He was.
He was a unicorn.
Yes.
He was 6 feet 9 inches tall, and he shot the ball so far back behind his head, it was unblockable.
Yes.
You want to talk about skill level? You want to talk about passing and creating and stealing and disrupting on defense and shooting the lights out?
Yes.
Taking over a team, taking over a game, leadership, winning intangibles. It's just extraordinary what he had. So you can't tell me anybody's more skilled than Larry Bird was.
Skip, you're talking about 6'9". Kevin Durant is doing everything Larry Bird is doing, can put it on the floor better than Larry, and shoot just as good. So, and he's 7 foot tall. Anthony Davis is 6'10" and a half.
He is. But when you talk about killer intangibles like basketball assassins, if you put Magic and Bird in their prime in today's game, their intangibles would rise above the ones that we have today.
The court is so open. Yeah, they're going to have, there's no hand checking. the hard fouling and things of that nature. Yes, I'm not saying that these guys couldn't succeed, couldn't thrive in this era. But when you talk about guys that, Kevin Durant, who's blocking that shot, Skip? Dude 7 foot tall, shooting it at a 9 foot apex. You talk about the jump shot that Anthony Davis shot. That's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's taller than Anthony Davis.
Okay, but Charles Barkley continues to say on TNT, Anthony Davis wasn't born with a killer mentality.
I can't tell.
Well, he made a shot the other night, and he shot it like he meant it, and I will give you that, but there are times it comes and it goes.
So let me ask you,
what did AD tell him when Charles asked him about it after the game? Yeah, I don't always, what was this term? I don't focus.
You say sometimes I overthink it.
Yeah.
I come in, trying to do the right.
I overthink.
Right. But Skip, let me ask you a question.
He drifts, he comes and goes.
Skip, can I ask you a question? Can you have a killer mentality if you never killed anything? Because there's a lot of people talking about they got killer mentality and they ain't got no championships. And there's a lot of guys that didn't have killer mentality and got championships. So which would you rather have, killer mentality and no wins, or wins and no killer mentality?
Well, we're talking about killer mentality, MJ, Magic, Bird. It's hard to argue with that.
LeBron got 3. Does Steph Curry got it? See, this notion is that, it's just how we perceive someone. Our perception of a person is our reality. Even though that might not be the truth, your perception is your truth. It might not be true in its totality, but that's your truth, and so that's what you believe. People believe that LeBron James does not have killer mentality because he's not scowling and he's not shoving people down. You don't get to where this man got without being ruthless.
I don't know about that.
It's hard. No.
Supremely gifted.
There are a lot of people gifted. People have this notion that you look at Magic and Magic is always smiling. You see the thing.
Okay,
Hold on.
I'll
give you another example. Did Isaiah have killer mentality? And they hated him for it. He did exactly. I was talked to Isaiah a couple of weeks ago. He said, when I was not making the finals, Shannon, I went to every NBA finals, and the Celtics and the Lakers allowed me access to see how they did things. So I learned, I took what they were doing, how they did it, and I brought it back to the bad boy Pistons. And it was now I'm doing to them what they had done to the league.
Yep.
I get frowned upon. I get hated. He learned it from Magic and Bird. Skip, you know how they played, Skip. There was no love lost between those two teams. They hated each other because for the longest time, that was who was going to win the title.
Yep.
There's a reason why one got 17 and the other got 16. And the one that had 17 kept the one that got 16 from winning a lot of them because they beat them like 7 straight years in the NBA Finals, Skip. So for me, LeBron got killer mentality. AD got it. So what they going to say when we win the title this year?
Cakewalk.
Yeah, you go see.
Meant to be.
Okay, that's a cake.
Well, it already is.
No, Skip.
So look, here's the bottom line. If we could time machine Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan in their primes, at whatever their best year was, age 23, 4, whatever,
Right.
and we could put them in today's game,
Right.
they would dominate today's game, just the way they dominated in the 80s.
And what about LeBron? Can you imagine? Because you got to realize he's 30 pounds heavier than Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
He's faster than Karl Malone. He got the Mel Malone, but he got a mailman's body. He got Magic Johnson's ability to see the whole court. And he can fly. Do you see him still elevating, Skip? They say he's not supposed to be able to do that at 35.
I got it. Although 35 isn't 43.
Have we ever seen another 35-year-old jump that high and be that athletic? In year 17? Name the time.
All I know is if you took LeBron back into the 80s as he is, take him in his prime, and took him back to 1980, start right there.
Oh, he'll dominate.
His mental toughness would get tested because it was football, basketball.
But Skip, the thing is that you have to evolve with the times, obviously. And I tell people this all the time. I was like, there's eras to any sport, Skip. And if you played in that era, you had to adopt that mentality or you couldn't play.
Couldn't play.
It was as simple as that. You covered this game in the 70s and 80s, and you know the physicality that was involved with it. They would literally take your head off, and that was not a flag. That was not a foul. Nope. They just get up. And just like basketball, play through that. Kevin McHale snatched Kurt Rambis out the sky by his neck. Skip, Larry Bird punched Bill Laimbeer in the face.
He did.
And nobody got ejected.
Nope.
Nobody got ejected in either situation. You snatch somebody out the sky right now, Adam Silver give you at least 10 games.
Yeah.
So
nope.
You have to evolve your way of thinking given the era in which you're playing in. But ain't no question in my mind, James is going to be that dude, regardless of the era.
Well, congratulations to James. He just won his 4th championship.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. Skip.
4 and 6.
Hey.
It's over.
Whoa,
you got it.
Whoa.
Yep.
He got that 10 times.
Yep.
10 times.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty.
Yeah. Pretty good. He actually won 4 out of 10. That's pretty good.
You know what? I can't.
It's not exactly 6-0 with 6 MVP.
Outside of those Celtics team, only Kareem can say I've been to that many. Only Kareem. Only Kareem.
Yeah.
And Isaiah say when it's all said and done, he's going to be the GOAT. But he's going to pass Kareem. That's Isaiah's GOAT.
And Isaiah has no personal
Whoa. See what you do? You do that every time. When somebody says something that's not as beneficial as you like it to be to Jordan, they got to axe the grind. Why that man can't have his opinion?
Isaiah's got like 8 axes.
He ain't got no axe to grind. He said, I busted head. He said, check my check my record against all of them. Isaiah said, I put my record, check my record against them. Especially that guy in Chicago. I kept him from eating a lot of nights.
Yep.
At the NBA Finals, I kept him from eating a lot of times.
And he finally just dropped the hammer.
Isaiah said, we got old.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.